He himself said he couldn't display more facets of the condition. And I have this little activity for you. You're gonna tell whether he has autism or not. We're gonna check off the behaviors that you are gonna observe in this video, and be on the lookout for this: excessive adherence to personal routines without explanation or divergence, performing repetitive tasks, abnormal fixation with topics, difficulty understanding unspoken language, literal linear thinking patterns, and then hard time trying to decipher metaphor, vocal tone modulation, and communication nuances, misread facial expressions, body language, and other nonverbal exchanges. And then displays a flat or excessively friendly affect. So let's keep those in mind as you see these videos.
Who's that bird out there in the background? Is that Jacob? Did you boca my child? No, I can unboca. See? Boca, unboca. I would never boca your child. Just so you know.
Checkmate.
Again?
Obviously, you're not well suited for three-dimensional chess. Perhaps three-dimensional Candyland would be more your speed.
Just reset the board.
It must be humbling to suck on so many different levels.
Hey.
Did you get my mail?
Yeah, right here. How was Nebraska?
Oh, better than North Dakota. Guess that joke's only funny in Nebraska.
From the data at hand, you really can't draw that conclusion. All you can say with absolute certainty is that that joke is not funny here.
Boy, it's good to be back.
How's your family?
Oh, it was the worst trip. Everyone got sick over the weekend.
Sick? Here we go. What kind of sick?
The flu, I guess.
I don't need you to guess. I need you to know. Now, when did the symptoms first appear?
Maybe Friday?
Friday. Was that morning or afternoon?
I don't...
Think, woman who blew their nose and when?
Sheldon, relax. She doesn't have any symptoms. I'm sure she's not contagious.
Oh, please. If influenza was only contagious after symptoms appear, it would have died out thousands of years ago. Somewhere between tool using and cave painting, Homo habilis would have figured out to kill the guy with the runny nose.
Then you'll have to excuse Sheldon. He's a bit of a germaphobe.
Well, it's okay. I understand.
Thanks for your consideration. Now please leave.
You'd better go before he starts spraying you with Lysol.
Okay, well, thank you for getting my mail.
No problem. Welcome home.
What?
So, which ones of these behaviors you were able to see?
Strict adherence to social guidelines, like he's following the rules, but only by the book, not actually how they work.
Right. Just find the book. So how about the linear thinking? Literal.
Definitely.
Okay. Excessive adherence to personal routines without explanation. And we're going to see that one better on the next one. So let's go ahead and jump to that one. And definitely they don't get jokes.
Can you get my bag? Do you guys mind if I start?
Penny, that's where I sit.
Sit next to me.
No, I sit there.
What's the difference?
What's the difference?
Here we go.
In the winter, that seat is close enough to the radiator to remain warm and yet not so close as to cause perspiration. In the summer, it's directly in the path of a cross breeze created by opening windows there and there. It faces the television at an angle that is neither direct, thus discouraging conversation, nor so far wide as to create a parallax distortion. I can go on, but I think I've made my point.
Do you want me to move?
Well, just sit somewhere else.
Fine.
Sheldon, sit.
You see how he loves his routine, right? I sit there, that's my seat. And she didn't get the joke. Why don't you sit next to me? You know, it's a beautiful, very attractive girl, and she's offering you to sit next to her. Why don't you take the chance? You know, take it. No, that's not what I said. So how about the logical way he thinks? So I could sit here because it's at a certain angle with respect to the TV, the radiator is here, I get the heat from there, and so everything is logical to them. Everything has to make sense, yes?
You may use this, but how would that look in the classroom? If I was a faculty member and I had a student on the spectrum, how might I handle that?
Yeah, and Dr. Crowder will talk a little bit about that, but the way I have seen it is, well, I'm not an instructor, but the way instructors come and tell me, believe it or not, they come to my office sometimes asking me questions that sometimes I don't even know, but I learned a lot from the experiences that they face in the classroom. And I think about it, and then the way they describe this person is when they ask a question in the classroom, a student on the spectrum sometimes take over and answer the question. First of all, they're not even asked to answer the question, they just jump at the topic and then they take over the conversation. And then all of a sudden, just like Sheldon, they start talking about the same topic over and over and over. If you don't tell them to stop, they will take the entire class to explain. So that was one professor that brought this to my attention in one of his classes. The student, no offense to instructors, but the student probably knew more biology than herself. And that's typically because, and we'll see it later, they tend to hyper-focus and they tend to master a subject if they really, really like it. So that's one of their strengths. So that's the way I see it in class. Sometimes they have very repetitive behaviors. Sometimes you're teaching and then all of a sudden you see that they get really anxious for whatever reason, and then they stand up and then they start walking in the classroom back and forth, left to right. Sometimes they might clap, make noises, things like that. Sometimes they even pull their hair, play with their hair. Sometimes you see them and they are not quite tuned with what you're saying. They seem very distracted. And another reason why is because they are also diagnosed with ADHD or attention deficit. So it's really hard sometimes for them to concentrate, especially on a topic that they don't like. Okay, so it is a challenge if you are in a classroom with a student on the spectrum and they don't like your topic, the topic you're talking about. Any other question, Michael? Yes.
Could his explanation of why he wants to sit there be secondary, and the first and main reason is because that's his seat and he's comfortable in that seat, but
right.
That everything else comes secondary to him as why he's sitting in that seat?
Right. So, and even that's what they miss a lot of social clues, right? Because at that point in time, they're just focused, they're concentrated on their need, what they want at the moment. And it's like I'm saying, sometimes they even think out loud. Sometimes they say things that, it might not make sense to you at the moment, but to them, they do.
I think a lot of these behaviors are an effort to sort of impose order on the world, and especially because sometimes they get overwhelmed with sensory input.
Yes.
And so now they have to start kind of categorizing things and what they can block out and what you cannot violate. Actually, you
Yeah.
can't violate anything.
And thank you for bringing that up. Yeah,
Those
thank you.
rules are very firm.
Yeah, thank you for that, because they are really sensitive to noise and stress. You know, if they are think about it. I mean, a student without autism. Sometimes I sit down in a class and I'm just trying to pay attention to what the instructor is saying, and I'm not quite understanding what the instructor is saying, and at the same time I'm trying to take notes and make sense